With Sports Interactive dropping the first teaser video for FM26, the excitement for a brand new game really is growing. And one of the first things that we love to do as Football Manager fans when we get a new FM game is go out and search for the latest elite wonderkids to see who we can find that will go on and become the linchpins of our teams for the future. Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you some names that I think you should note down because I think that they have the potential ability to go on to become elite wonderkids in FM26. Emre Unuvar, Ajax. The first player that I'm going to look at in this video is Emre Unuvar. Now, if you're thinking to yourself that name sounds familiar, it's because his big brother Naci also came through the academy at Ajax. Emre is an attacking midfielder who can also double up as a striker, and he comes with the bonus addition of being able to play on either wing. He will drift in from the wide areas to the centre of the pitch, and as you saw in the clip just, he can score goals when playing centrally. The player starts a brand new save game with all of the attributes needed to play in the attacking areas. He's good at dribbling, he's good at finishing, he has good flair, he has determination. In real life, they think he could go on to be a superstar. He signed his first contract at the age of 15, and in 10 years' time, he could go on to look like this as he goes on to develop into an elite attacking option. 10 years into the future, he has now moved from Ajax to Milan. He's been there for a number of years, racking up 195 appearances and scoring 90 goals, giving him 254 games and 120 goals by the age of 27. Looking at the development, it's there for all to see. Dribbling, finishing, first touch, he has great acceleration and pace. This is a player that if he develops like he does in this projection on FM24, he's going to go on and become a massive star for Ajax and possibly your team if you sign him in FM26. Shim Mheuka, Chelsea. The next player may be a familiar face to those of you who have been to the channel before. Now, I've already done a standalone video on Shim Mheuka, but if you haven't checked that video out yet, let's give you a rundown on the player. So Shim Mheuka is 17 years old. He's dual nationality but represents England at youth level. He plays mainly as a striker, and as you saw from the clip that preceded this segment of the video, he has a trick or two up his sleeve and he certainly knows where the goal is. He has already broken through into Chelsea's first team, making his debut in the Europa Conference League. Looking at the player as a projection in FM24, you can see exactly what I've just described. He's good with his strength, he's good with acceleration and pace. He knows where the goal is with great finishing, dribbling and first touch. The game projects that in 10 years' time though, the player will look like this. As he chooses to spend his career to this point at Chelsea, he would go on to break into the first team and become a first team regular, making 310 appearances and scoring 154 goals in this simulation. He would also choose to represent England at full international level, making 66 appearances and scoring 30 goals there too. The player looks an absolute beast. Finishing, first touch, penalty taking, strength, pace, acceleration. He could be everything that you would look for in a striker in FM26. Make sure you try to sign him early on in your saves. Lennart Karl, Bayern Munich. Next up, we are looking at one of the most exciting young potentials in world football. Bayern Munich have certainly found themselves a gem in Lennart Karl. Now, anybody who has followed anything to do with Bayern Munich in the pre-season will know that Lennart Karl has been a bit of a star. They took him to the Club World Cup and they only played him for a select amount of minutes. But in pre-season, he has really gone on to thrust himself into the limelight, scoring goals like the one you have just seen before this section of the video. The player looks outstanding. He plays as an attacking midfielder, can also cover on either side of the pitch, but mainly he's going to do his damage through the centre between the lines. Looking at him as a projection in FM24, you can see the dribbling, the finishing, first touch, flair, determination, pace and acceleration. He's a player that really needs to bulk up a little bit in real life, but I think in 10 years' time, he will really look like this as he goes on to become a Bayern Munich club legend. Now, 10 years into the future, he's still only 27 years old, and the scary thing here is that he could probably still develop upon what you see on the screen already. Looking at his games and goals tally, 237 games, 83 goals. He really is a provider and a goal scorer. He looks amazing for his age group, and I think if the hype around the player in real life is matched in FM26, Lennart Karl is a name that you are not going to want to forget. Gabriel Mec, Gremio. The next player up on this list is Gabriel Mec. Now, Gabriel Mec is a 17-year-old Brazilian, moulded in the style of Ronaldinho, even came through the same academy at Gremio, but there is confusion about the player. It was announced that Chelsea had got to the front of the pack to sign the player, although no transfer actually materialised. Gabriel Mec would sign a new contract, which we're told is all part of the plan. So as of right now, we're not 100% sure if he has a future transfer set up, or if that will be announced when he turns 18 and he can move to Europe. Either way, this is an exciting player. He's a player that can play in wide areas of the pitch. He can also come into the centre of the park too. Just as was mentioned, he has the dazzling skills of Ronaldinho. He also has the quickness and the pace to get in behind defenders. And as you saw from the clip just, he also knows where the goal is. So this is a projection of the player in FM24. And you can see exactly what I described. He has good pace and acceleration. He has good dribbling and first touch. And I think he's a player that has every chance of developing into a player that looks like this. 10 years into the future, in this simulation, Gabriel Mec would join Liverpool and become a star of the Premier League club. He would go on to make 273 total appearances, scoring 38 goals, and also add 47 caps for Brazil, scoring a further 14 goals by the age of 27. The scary thing here, he's still not fully developed at the age of 27. There could be even more to come from the player. And once again, looking at him, you can see that it's all about the flair, the determination, the dribbling, the pace and the acceleration. He could be a scary player in FM26. Ilias Belmokhtar, AS Monaco. The next player that I'm going to take a look at is Ilias Belmokhtar of AS Monaco. As you might have just seen from the clip that played, he is coolness personified. This player is all about his flair. He is a dangerous attacking midfielder who likes to dribble, run past defenders and really cause nightmares for the people that are put in front of him. Looking at the projection in FM24, you can see that is reflected in the game. He has good pace and good acceleration for a 17-year-old. He also has decent dribbling and first touch. His flair score, though, is off the charts at 16. And in 10 years' time, he is a player that could develop into something like this. As 10 years into the future, Ilias Belmokhtar gets a dream move to Barcelona. Once he reaches the Catalan club, he would go on to become a first teamer, making 186 appearances, scoring 71 times, and by the age of 27, he would have 230 first team games under his belt, scoring 74 goals. In this simulation, he would also, maybe controversially, go on to represent France instead of Morocco, where he played 48 times and scored 10 goals. Now, just as I was saying, this is a true flair player. He's a player that will beat people. He will take on defenders. He's an absolute nightmare. So in this simulation, he ended up with 16 for pace, 15 acceleration, 16 for his crossing and his dribbling, and 16 for first touch. But most importantly for the player, he retained his 16 flair. I think he has an absolute shout of being a dark horse wonder kid that you really need to remember the name of for FM26. Igor Oyono, Athletic Club. The final player on this wonder kid list is Igor Oyono of Athletic Club. He's a player that should start the game in Athletic Club's under-19s team. And if you look in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see he already has a lethal goal-scoring record when loaned out to CD Baskonia. He's a player at the age of 17 that looks physically developed and can be a player that causes issues for defenders with his strength and his pace. As you saw from the clip, he's also very tricky with the ball and can shoot comfortably with either foot. Looking at the attributes in the projection in FM24, he comes with great dribbling, finishing and first touch, scores highly for flair and determination. He also troubles people with that acceleration and pace. So, he looks the part at the start of the game, but in 10 years' time, he could develop into a player that will look like this. 10 years into the future, Igor Oyono has got himself a move to Paris Saint-Germain. Since being in the French capital, he has scored goals, 162 appearances and 88 goals to be precise. Add that to his 129 appearances and 74 goals for Athletic Club, gives him a club total so far of 414 appearances and 281 goals, counting in 119 for Baskonia. He's still 27 years old and he's still developing in the game. But looking at him, you can see exactly what I was talking about at the start of this simulation. He's now frightening with his pace, his acceleration, his agility, off the ball, his vision, his crossing and his dribbling. We also know with 15 finishing, he knows where the net is. This is a player that you really need to concentrate on. Make sure you go and look him up when you start a brand new save in FM26. I think this is a sneaky wonder kid that many people won't talk about, but he could be the standout in this class. So there we have it. Those are some names that I think could go on to become elite wonder kids in FM26. Let me know in the comment section down below, who do you think could become a wonder kid in FM26? And would you sign any of the players you have just seen?